Thank you. See, I'm over here struggle streaming. My audio wasn't even working. Coach Nazir probably thought it was him. Let me start over. It is 9:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to Coach Nasir and his family, his beautiful wives, for blessing us with a show. We thought we wasn't going to be able to have it earlier. Come to find out, it was a mistake on my behalf because I had the time zones mixed up. But he is here, and I appreciate everybody showing up. Shout out to TJ Wolf, Justin Subaka. My wife is in the building. See, both of our wives is in the building. We got Nostalgia in here. Mr. Hot Def, China Land, Lyman Green. Appreciate everybody for pulling up. So without further ado, let me go ahead and welcome the guests. What is going on, Coach Nazir? And Fatimah and Nyla. Did I get those right?
Yep. Coach Nazir, Coach Fatimah, and Coach Nyla.
All coaches.
Indeed.
How wonderful. So you already know me, and everybody in the audience already know me. So I'm going to just give y'all the room to be able to introduce yourselves.
Indeed. All right. Definitely appreciate it. First of all, it's our pleasure to be here with you, Mr. McPherson. Darwynn, we are the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as the authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. And the reason we say that and we smile is because I've been practicing polygyny now for 15 years. I'm married to Coach Fatimah for 30 years now, okay? And been married to Coach Nyla for 15 years. So that is practicing polygyny. Just for clarity, polygamy means a spouse who's married to multiple spouses. Polygyny, we're not mispronouncing the word, that means a husband who is married to multiple wives. So I do have 10 biological children with my wives. I have 7 with Coach Fatimah, then 3 with Coach Nyla, and also 2 bonus children as well. So that's a dozen. About half of them are adults anyway. So with that being said, though, I appreciate you because you've been in the dating market, you've been in the marriage market, and let a lot of people know about many of the different dynamics. And you guys have touched on polygamy before, some different interviews that I've seen. But now it's really time to talk about it from those who are living it, and also understand that polygamy is really just an ancient solution to a modern day problem. So we all, we're open for you to serve you, your audience as well. So feel free, man. Nothing's really off limits. And like our book says, it's uncensored. So, no questions are off limits, man. I know people have a lot of myths, stereotypes, intrigue. We're here for it. Let's go.
All right, y'all heard that. All questions. So if y'all don't mind, guys, make sure that you send all questions through the super chat to support the show. And I appreciate you, Coach Nazir, for clearing the terminology up with polygamy and polygyny, because that's important. Because I think most of the guys I know prefer the polygyny, where it's multiple wives. I think it's rare. I'm not gonna say it don't exist. This is your lane, but it's rare. It's probably rare to find guys who are okay with I think polyamory, right?
Polyandry.
Polyandry, yeah, polyandry. So
right.
Yeah, and that's why we got you, because you're the expert, and you're gonna be the one who educate us in this area. And I think I'm already confident that guys are going to be able to leave here with a clear understanding of how things work and how to use them in modern times. So let me go ahead and break the first question to you. And I know we spoke offline about communities and stuff, and specifically the Black community, which probably seems to be most of our concern, because do you identify as Black, like FB or anything like that?
I'm just light skinned, bro. My mother's
you just light skinned, but you a brother. You showing up for brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't want to get it twisted.
I changed my name. No, we all changed our names. You know what I'm saying? We all were born and raised in the church and stuff like that. We're from the Midwest, just outside of Chicago. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it depends on how you want to proceed. Where you can slip into certain type of if you want to, bro. I'm with it. We got it. Or we continue to.
Trust me, I look at you as a brother, as brothers and sisters.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Indeed.
So, for the first question, how is polygyny or polygamy beneficial for the Black community?
Well, one of the things is that, unfortunately, I think it was Dr. Amos Wilson that really broke down that we the only people out here, black people, we the only people that really don't recognize that there's a war against the black family, and has been since the rise of black consciousness in the 60s. You know, when you look at who funded, just politically speaking, from our perspective, over 100 years ago, we had Marcus Garvey. He's done something that no other black person has done since, with Black Star Lines, ocean liners, literally doing transatlantic and many different country trade, his own political organization, literally owning your own auditoriums, your apartment buildings, manufacturing facilities. We still have not done that to this day. So our level of organization was extremely high back then in 1919. That's just Marcus Garvey. Then you come through with Malcolm's father, who was a Garveyite, and he's saying we're not necessarily just simply outnumbered, we're out organized. So that was a problem. If you're looking at the feds with J. Edgar Hoover saying the biggest problem to the country is the rise of, this American Negro unity, if you will. Then we had Martin. So we have this whole history thing, right? And this consciousness led to something. It led to this whole revolution, if you will, in thinking back just in the 60s, which leads to, of course, the 70s when it comes to Black exploitation era. Then it comes to drugs in the 80s. Then we got mass incarceration in the 90s. And now we're looking at our family. We talking about single mothers and modern women. We got the rise of feminism during this time by, again, a CIA agent in there trying to convince our women that their issues are our issues. Meanwhile, we feel the brunt of this. So I was raised up Milwaukee, Wisconsin, what I call Jim Crow North, and 80% of single family households are led by women. And at the same time, that was Milwaukee for a number of years. I think it was almost like 9 years or something like that. Fact check it, if you will. But for a number of years was leading the entire country in black male incarceration, with less than 6% of black males in the entire state, but more black men locked up per capita than anywhere else, which means our households was trash. And we already know that single mother-led households lead to more promiscuity, crime rates, everything on the negative spectrum, if you will, is that. So if we're looking at facts, we have to look at the whole history of this and where it comes to today. And our households are in disarray. Hence, a lot of us are pitted against each other. And when it comes to leaders of being strong and even looking at our biology just on a human level, monogamy has been destroying us for a while. Now, monogamy in and of itself, again, we're not anti-monogamy. I'm simply pro-morals. But if we're not even getting involved in monogamy and marriages and producing children that come from it, and we talk about broken families, well, there's a modern day solution, or there's an ancient solution to a modern day problem that we have. And one of those is for strong men, those who are exceptional, those who are striving to be more, to become more, and marry multiple women. Now, that doesn't mean they have to necessarily be single mothers. That don't mean they gotta be divorcees or something technically look wrong with them or put down or anything like that. That just simply means that those men who are successful, those men who do strive to be more, can step up as husbands and honor women as wives, versus like has been throughout our entire history. All right. Versus mistresses, girlfriends, side pieces, yada, 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 in an era where love is love until it's polygyny.
I heard that, and I like how you broke that down, and it's just paint a whole new version of clarity for me, because what I'm understanding and what I'm hearing is it's a lot of systemic things that took place throughout history and up until today that kind of shrink the pool of men that's a viable man that could take care of the growing population of women. And I think it's on the men that is left to not leave women, without an opportunity to be a mother or a wife, and just step up to the plate and take care of our own and date within our race, so that we can, continue to populate and continue to produce people for the sake of, offsetting the imbalance at a later time. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misunderstanding that, but it seems like a noble thing that men would have to want to do. And I think the challenge is, at this rate, or with this understanding of black women right now, how likely do you think black women right now will look at this proposition from black men and say, hey, look, I'm going ahead and build myself up and build up my prowess, my ability to be able to take care of multiple women, for the sake that no women is left behind in our community, pitching that to these women might seem like it might fall on deaf ears, and they might be like, oh no, I'm not sharing no man and all this stuff, you know. So I'm just curious how that conversation would, the likelihood of that conversation.
Ask the ladies. They haven't had an opportunity to really introduce themselves, so why not talk to Coach Fatimah, Coach Nyla? Matter of fact, ask Coach Nyla because she chose it. She chose polygamy. I wasn't out looking necessarily for a second wife with our backstory, but they can introduce themselves as well.
Go ahead, because it's still the woman.
Let's introduce ourselves. So Coach Fatimah, introduce yourself first.
Okay, I'm Coach Fatimah. Like Coach Nazir was saying, I've been married to him for 30 years. I came from brokenness twice, meaning my parents never married. They broke up by the time I was 3. My grandparents divorced a year. Their divorce was finalized a year before I met Coach Nazir in high school. So my goal as I got a little bit older was to never have being a woman that didn't get married on my radar, because I valued it through my grandparents, but I also had to understand that sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I wasn't ready to do either one. I wanted to get married and have it work, and not get married and have it not work out. So I say this often, and I mean it. I don't know anybody that goes into marriage saying, I really hope this fails. I really hope my family's destroyed, whether it be monogamy or polygyny. So one of the things you brought up, you mentioned the conversation and how conversations may go. I think what we have done in the Black community is oftentimes we've made it unsafe to talk to one another about what we're going through individually, even though we are married. So as I got married at 20 and my then husband was 19, he's not 19 sitting here right now. So understanding that growth and evolution of growth is important, and that what our husbands or what their wives may want can and will change likely. I saw this one man mention, he said, you know what, the man you married today is going to be the same man you married 30 years ago, or will be married to in 30 years. Meaning basically some things about him will not change. However, he'll experience growth, and with that, maturation. So I had to understand that the Barbie dream house fantasy I created for Coach Nazir to live in when he was 19 changed. So for me and for him, and part of loving him is understanding that he needed to evolve, and so did I. And that might look like polygyny. But having the conversation is important, but also if our husbands want to have it with us, are we willing to listen to it? I wasn't, because I'm like, part of that conversation means I'm going to be sharing resources. I'm going to share you. And little did I realize at my young age was that I was already sharing him with the other people that loved him, his children, his mother, his father, his siblings, his business associates, his brothers in Islam. So the level of loving him only deepened, and it expanded in what was polygyny. And I can't be a Muslim woman that is practicing Islam and not embrace that 100%. So I had to grow up a bit. But having that conversation in a safe environment for all involved is important. So we can get some clarity, even if it's our husband saying, I don't know the answer to that yet, but I want to figure that out. So yeah, that's my take on that.
So aligning with the faith had a strong influence on you being able to be down with the program.
Well, I understood this as I was in a meeting in Chicago. Somebody said, look, you don't cherry pick it. You don't say, I like this today, I like that today, I like this, I want to put this back up. Oh, no, it all comes with it. It all comes with it. And there's wisdom in it. And there's safety and stability in it.
So is it safe to say that Coach Nazir is the one who introduced you to the Muslim faith or Islam?
He gave me literature on Islam, because all I knew, and it got me in trouble in Christian school. I said, okay, how do we have God, and then the Son of God, and then the Holy Spirit, and they're all God, and I'm telling my Christian teachers, you all taught me math, and that math is not adding up. So, and they would just chop me off at the knees and say, we don't talk about those things. You just follow and be quiet and sit in your seat. And he did introduce me to some literature, and I did go to different meetings and talk to women, and I ultimately took my Shahada, and which means I took the oath to become Muslim.
Okay, so So it sounds like that is a very, very critical factor for the man to have, to be able to introduce a principle or a belief that have some type of structure that you can go look at and be like, okay, that seems true, and it's touching me spiritually, and I'm willing to be down with it. Versus a man that don't have any principles at all. He's just saying, yeah, I want you to believe what I want to believe, or go my way and direction. And that's why I try to preach. So to speak on my content is, men need to have some type of principles that they believe in, that they subscribe to, that is higher than themselves, that's holding them accountable. If you want your wife to be submissive to you, I think she get an ease of mind knowing that you're not just going with the flow. Like, you literally live by some type of thing that came before you. So, and I know the other, Coach Nyla is supposed to go next. Yeah, let's get you in there, Coach Nyla.
Oh, okay. Well, with me, yeah, of course, Coach Nyla, married to Coach Nazir for over 15 years, in polygamy. Just backstory, raised by a single mom who was raised by a single mom. So I was kind of that person, I was that person that we talk about in the Black community, where it was, the family that you've seen was raised by single parents. And the single parent was the mother. And not only that, I didn't see the beautiful love story, the marriage story, anything like that. Marriage wasn't even on my radar like that. I've seen it on TV and things like that. That's the TV stuff. And it was, yes, the family dynamic of being, having children, and I guess legacy, if you will, was in my head, because I saw how my grandmother raised, her children, and so my mom was trying to raise her children. But then in the relationships that I seen, it was like abusive or stressful and struggle and things like that. And I didn't want the struggle love. I didn't want that struggle bus type of thing. It wasn't until I became an adult and just start seeing other things outside of my circle, outside of how I grew up, and I saw that, okay, wow, marriage can be a beautiful thing. And marriage could work, because I remember at 14, I was like, oh, can I have a child? And I didn't have a child at 14, but I was like, can I ask my mom, can I have a child and just kick the guy to the curb? Like, that was the mindset, because there's certain things around. And she was like, yeah, but why would you want to do that? She was like, that makes no sense. Like, you see what's around me, So later on, just growing and learning and seeing all this beauty that can actually happen being married, like, that is something that I would want. Now, fast forward, I get married, marriage didn't work. I was in monogamy, divorced. That didn't work. Fast forward later on, that was even after converting to Islam, because just wondering why people believe what they believe and think what they think. And I've been around a lot of different people from a lot of different faiths, and Islam really just called to me, and alhamdulillah. But I said, I started reading, because when I started studying Islam, people who weren't Muslim, anything like that, their first thing would be, well, their husbands can have multiple wives, right? They have more than one wife, right? Like, nothing else that they would say about it, but that was one thing. And I was like, okay, kind of let it pass. But then they kept saying it, and I'm like, okay, what is this whole thing? I read a book called Polygamy in Islam. I think that's what it's called, right? Polygamy in Islam, by Bilal Phillips. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh, I can see why that actually makes a lot of sense. And it was pretty much kind of like a structural way, and how it helps with, society and all these different things like that. And I'm like, okay. And the rules of it, where it's rules to this thing, it's this regulation of it all. And I'm like, Okay, that makes sense. But that wasn't something I stood and go and like, oh, let me find me a married man to go marry, type of thing. This was before I married in monogamy. So thinking about that later and being honed in, and like I said, it made so much sense all around the board. But that's the take of polygamy that I had, or in my mind, or what I read about and what made sense to me. I wasn't even Muslim at the time when I read about that. And it was like, I understand how I could see how this could have helped when I was growing up. I could have seen how, women who I've seen that were being abused, or who were single, who were to actually have people, to have something that was there for them, that was a guide, there were men out there, because I had my view of men that wasn't the most positive thing after seeing what I saw, but seeing that, oh, well, if this was followed, then of course you have protection, of course you have the guidance, of course you can build a beautiful legacy with these things. So when polygamy, when it came to the point of looking, I guess I wasn't even looking for polygamy. It's just that the person who I saw was a upstanding man, an upstanding individual, a leader, a provider, a person who I was able to actually see how he operated in his life, how he operated with his wife, how he operated with his children. That made sense. And knowing that polygamy is allowed, it was like, okay. And then also seeing the family dynamic, I'm like, this is a nice family dynamic I think I could get with. And, have my guardian, my wakil, my wali, shoot my shot, so to speak. And pretty much, I would say the rest is history, but that's pretty much how it went. And it just made sense to me, how that can help. But like I stated before, that wasn't the thing. It wasn't him actually me just searching for polygamy. It's just that the man who checked the boxes, so to speak, was already married. And that's usually kind of what people say. They're like, oh, the good men are usually married, or, and you're dead or something like that, whatever type of thing. And that happened to be this man right here. He was married, not dead, or not dead, and gay. Married or gay. Men are dead too. But married or gay. And I'm like, man, we're trying to marry a gay dude. And, and he just happened to be, one of them good men that was already married.
So I'm curious, Coach Nazir, like, what is your qualifications? Because I would assume that most people think that whenever you're choosing multiple wives, they got to meet this, this superficial criteria, the criteria that they say, oh, you got to be childless, you got to come from a two-parent household. It seems like y'all are like debunking all the myths just within 20 minutes of this show, that you don't got to pick the cream of the crop to make it work. It can actually work if all of y'all are able to align. I'm just curious for like, what is like the most critical, or what is the most important criteria for you as a husband selecting a second wife, or even the first wife?
That's first of all, that's a really important question, and that's where we come in from a different side, because right now what you're looking at and what we're talking about, we pretty much in chapter 15, if you look at it like that, right? We didn't have anybody the reason we wrote the book, because it didn't exist in a practical fashion. You know what I'm saying? So it just wasn't easy at all. It's a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges, especially the first 5 years. All right. And I don't want to give the false impression as though, oh yeah, polygamy, let's read about it intellectually. It's like, oh, this makes sense. It's great. Let's move forward. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, I could look at it and say, all right, think about it from this perspective. You have people like, just take people that are known, they're talking about the relationships right now in the media. You have Steph Curry, and you have what his wife is doing, right? Put her to the side with the way he's being disrespected and stuff like that, not honored from a wife perspective. But do you think Steph Curry has the ability, the monetary ability, to go ahead and marry more than one woman, make her a wife, have more children, take care of all of them, right? But our society only says one. You only get one. That's it. It's a wrap. You roll the dice, like Eddie said in Raw. You might crap out, but that's it, right? He has the ability. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know him personally or anything like that, but you got him, you got LeBron, you have athletes. When you think of groupies, Do you think of a whole bunch of men rushing the stage for a female artist? Or is it the other way around?
Other way around.
Right? Exactly. Drake makes songs about it. You know what I'm saying? About how they coming to my show, or you see Usher out there embarrassing men, but the women embarrassing men and stuff like that. So we see this thing that we normally understand. We also understand that there are women who prefer to date married men. Really interesting. Sadly, it's immoral, but you have this thing out there that exists. Some that are sugar babies, some that are well-known mistresses, some that are grandmothers and grandfathers had secret families and stuff like that they were taking care of. That's on a hush-hush in our community. What we're simply doing is talking about honor. Now, we talked about it from our religious perspective. Islam, it's in all scriptures. Polygyny is in all scriptures, whether you're talking about King Solomon with 700 wives, 300 concubines, or his father David with multiple wives, Abraham and Moses, all of that. But I don't lead with the religious part of the discussion because that part doesn't matter. From religious to spiritual to non-spiritual, polygyny is in every culture. Okay, Islam absolutely came and restricted it to be married to 4 women at one time. So though I'm married to these 2 women, I can marry 2 more, which leads to your question. How do you qualify for something like that? How do you even quantify, right? Specifically speaking, there are what I call the measurables and immeasurables. This is what we work with our clients and students and whatnot. The measurables are relatively simple. The measurables can be calculated. That's time and money. That's where you must be equitable and fair. Time and money. And those things can be clocked, right? You can track them with an app. However, the intangibles, that's the different part. That's where the leadership, the emotional intelligence comes in, the ability to sit in your discomfort, to be able to communicate properly. So what we did was kind of break this down where we're able to assess where we are as individuals and then those who we pursue or are choosing to get in a relationship with. So I share with you, for example, and I know we're a little far from the camera, but this is what's called, and you could, if you could put that, share it on the screen. This is called the L1 to L7 spectrum, right? So men and women, we developed this after dealing with so many of our clients and everything else. So basically, the lowest level of person is a level 1. That's the corrupt. We don't even deal with them. You don't deal with them. These are the worst of society. These are the people who go ahead and unalive. These are the people who are the predators, the molesters. These are the worst of the worst. These are the ones who really don't deserve to be here. And when they're gone, we know they're going to hell in a handbasket quickly. So we skip past L1 to really L2. L2, the combative person, the person that is not as cold and calculating as the first, but these are, for example, if you look at the women's side, these are the ones who fake pregnancies. These are the ones who get the fake ultrasounds or go to the website. What's the website you were telling me about?
I can't remember,
like
but you can buy a sonogram on Etsy.
You know, these are those type of calculating individuals. These are the ones that are like, well, I'm going to take the kids, or they do take the kids and disappear from the other parent, right? That's the combative, the one that always has an issue, the perpetual victim, but they use that to specifically manipulate. These are unhealed, not trying to be healed people. All right, then you have the cynical, they a step above, but still challenging. Now, most people fall in the kind of L4, which is the conformist. This is where you pretty much go with groupthink. You know, I had a sister code, for example, where many just refuse accountability, period. And then you get around somebody else. These are the ones that think that body shaming is like a thing versus, look, you need to be healthy. Being morbidly obese ain't it. Lizzo is not the goal. But, oh my God, how dare you speak against that type stuff? That's the conformist. The climbing is like, look, you know what? Maybe I am wrong. Maybe the outside of me is a reflection of the inside. So maybe these extra lashes and the hair on my hair and nail on my nails and getting injected and all that kind of stuff really ain't it. And men are saying they really not attracted to that. They prefer natural. But instead of disbelieving and believing the sister code, for example, they climb and they have some form of consciousness. The competence, or L2, these are people who are actively participating in their own healing. They're recognizing how to think on their own. They're knowing how to think and choosing what to think versus just being led by the masses, what new trend is out there on social media and looking externally for validation. Where the crown, of course, is the peak. These are those who are mature, those who do have wisdom and have learned and are willing to mentor and help those who are conscious or who are climbing, if you will. So I know that was a lot just in that couple minutes, but being able to really look through these 7 levels to find out where you are honestly based on your behavior, your patterns, not where you think you are, being ego driven, like many men are like, well, yeah, I'm competent, I'm this and that. When the reality is, if you aren't able to, like I wasn't at the beginning of polygyny, if you aren't able to have a fearless conversation regarding something and really stand in that and make sure you're controlling your emotions no matter what storms or tears and challenges come at you, then no, you're not as high as you may think you are. Many men come to me and they talk about, well, you know, I have the money, I have this and that, but she still ain't listening. Well, one of the things is that we're not as strong of leaders as we may think we are, or you got to check her level and kind of see where she is at the same time. Because since this is an alien concept, then what it does is it weakens men. And when I talk about monogamy in general, when I'm saying I'm pro morals, again, this is for exceptional men. It's not for everybody. One, it can't be for everybody because there's not twice the amount of women on the planet that it is men. Now, if you're in Atlanta, every man, well, every black man except you could probably have polygyny because there's so many, there's a plethora of many more women in Atlanta than it is men. But that's just in your, you know, locally and geographically for a number of different reasons, especially out in ATL. So one, time, money. The other part, the leadership really has to grow. And we have a framework for that actually called FRAME, where for men, it's being fearless, reliable, ambitious, masculine, and exceptional. And for women, it's, I know I've been talking for a minute. I want to be hot about talking.
It's feminine, you know, take our respectful.
Respectful, admiring, affectionate.
Yes.
Mature and exclusive. I'm like,
yes.
FRAME.
Yes.
That's excellent, man. And I got to tell you, I think you probably know this better than me, but I would say that most black men probably would be more open to this dynamic of relationship more often than the women. But it's hard to really say that because we really haven't understood we haven't really indulged in conversations in these spaces to see the woman's point of view like that. And like you said, the conformance or the sister code probably is a barrier that keeps her from being open to talk about it. She may be inclined to talk about it, but she might be like, damn, what is my mama gonna think? What is my homegirls gonna think? They're gonna call me. So she might just be undercover interest. But I would say that the main struggle for me in my experience is the exceptional part, that hurdle of being an exceptional man. And I would assume that has something to do with his socioeconomic status as well, because if you're gonna have women, and you can educate me on this, if you're gonna have your women resting in their femininity and maintain these critical traits or qualities, characteristics that she has to do to keep the relationship stabilized, you may not be able to have them going out into an employer for 40 hours a week. You may have to just hold it down, which, you know, makes the argument that being exceptional is key. Would you say so, or is there more?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. First of all, I mean, the stats say 80% of affairs happen on a job. You know what I'm saying? So just looking at it from that perspective, or at least those are numbers that were out there, one. But two, as a man, when you're thinking about it, if you look at, say, looking at these singers, right? The entertainers, so you have a Drake. He did a whole video, I forget the name of the song, where he married a whole bunch of women at one time, right? It was like 30 or 40 women in the video, right? So
yeah, I saw a clip of that. That was dope.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So looking at that, it's not necessarily looking at him being an exceptional man. This woman might have had the same mentality with Sister Cole. However, for the right man, she decided to attach herself to that, right? So one of the things we strongly advise, of course, in frame when being exceptional is, one, the exceptional part, your character needs to be exceptional. So many women say they like honesty, but they prefer an ugly lie to a beautiful truth. You know what I'm saying? Or a beautiful lie to an ugly truth, if you will, whichever way you want to look at it. Meaning that, all right, if I come and I'm saying just up front, look, I'm a polygynous man, this is my goal in the future. Oh my God, no, I'm not going to share. I'm not going to do this and this and that. Okay, did you really value the honesty at the time? Or I didn't know much. I didn't know about polygyny when I got married. I initially got married at 19 years old. And I think it was Muhammad Ali or somebody said, look, if you 50, you still thinking the way you're at 20, you just wasted 30 years. So that was a process of evolution to choose polygyny. And that's not easy on your initial wife you married to anyway. But you have to have strong enough character to deal with that and deal with those storms. So when I talk about polygyny, this is for men who already and are ambitious. That means you can look at your trajectory financially and otherwise, that you're going in the right direction. You having plans and working to go in the right direction. It's not a struggle bus love. Hey, look, let's all get together, put our paycheck to this, and then we're going to make more. What? That doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't provide any type of comfort or stability, any type of vision that you're working toward. If you're a man, you want to grow and actually build legacy minded. These are the men I'm talking to who are legacy minded, moving in that direction. You're already good and secure or on the way to making that happen. And you know who you are. That's a motivator, because the reality is many men don't want polygyny. They don't want the responsibilities of polygyny. They want multiple women. You biologically wired for that. That's how we design. But the responsibility that come from it, I mean, was my father, them uncles and great uncles and others like, well, I bought a cow and you get the milk for free. You know, these statements are well known, but you must hold yourself to a higher standard in order to really jump into something with honor, because you are going to get that blowback from family, from society, and everything else. And the crazy part about it is that reminds me of Dave Chappelle skit when Keeping It Real goes wrong. When the phone call came in, somebody hung up, don't be playing on my phone and all that. And she's sitting there with her girlfriend and ended up getting locked up and all that kind of stuff to find out her girlfriend was the one with her man. You know what I'm saying? So understanding these different dynamics that we're so accepting of and okay with versus raising your standard and your morals, and then that inspiring men to grow, because you don't really have that inspiration. If you're monogamy, you get married, all right, cool, that's it. To grow, to thrive, to invest more, and you can be very comfortable and straight, and that's that. Whereas when you look 100, 200, 500 years ago, men had to go out and get it, had to expand. They had to live in a conquering, expansion mindset and continue moving and building families. Where today is, you could become complacent, and then you have your other outlets, which leads to a lot of dysfunction and behaviors that could be a little bit more decrepit, whether that's dealing with your OnlyFans stuff, or that's out at the clubs, or that's swiping right and left on these different apps or whatever, these one night stands and so on, further perpetuating the brokenness of our community, because polygyny isn't even an option on the table for discussion.
And I'm with you on that, because I firmly believe that, like, people like Steph Curry, people like LeBron, any athlete that can sign anywhere from $300 to $5.5 billion contract and bottleneck into one woman, knowing that people in his community, the odds of basically the things we touched down, the disproportionate men and women based on the systemic pressures over history, pulling men away from the women and being able to fill that void mathematically. I think it's very selfish of any man, like a billionaire or somebody like that, to just only have one. I get it, your morals and stuff.
Look at Stephon Diggs right now. Look at how many women he got pregnant right now. Or you got Nick Cannon.
I think Nick Cannon or who is it? Cam Newton got a great number of children too.
Yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm simply talking about bringing it under a moral foundation where you can actually build family. You're not just spreading your wild oats like Prince Akeem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Does your book ever mention how to approach the legality side of that? Like, because I think in most states, I think in every state, literally, like, it's no way to get around it legally. Some people say the covenantal marriage, but as far as being recognized by the state, that's off the table, right?
Yeah, right now polygamy is not legalized in America.
So you would have to get out of the country, and that
no. This goes into This goes into what you consider lawful and legal. All right, two different things.
Okay.
Right. Now, if you believe that the government came up with the institution of marriage, and that's up for them to regulate, then that's your choice. I think that marriage was here before any government, period. Especially before government registration and certificates and licenses that began early last century after the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank. But that's a different discussion in and of itself. People will get married, they have a ceremony, they put in their Bibles, or they have witnesses and stuff like that. And that's their marriage, that's their covenant under their religious rituals or ceremonies, whether that's jumping in the room or anything else, right? So you got legal, state recognition, state involved, and like the divorce attorney James Sexton talks about. When's the last time anybody ever came to you asking to see your marriage certificate to see if you're married?
Never.
You have a wedding, you have all this, and nobody's ever done that. For me, I've been married over 30 years, legally. But when you put the state in your business, then your state gets to dictate things, even retroactively. So one of the things he suggests, of course, is a prenup for anything. Minimally, what's yours is yours, and mine is mine. So if you ever break up, it'll go back to that, right? So when it comes to polygyny, here's the other part. Living in the United States, you have an unrestricted right to contract. So if you have a prenuptial agreement, right, that's outside of the court system, but that'll be recognized in the court system because it's a contract, and you have a right to do this in every state. So having contracts prepared properly, one thing is to protect your rights. Similarly, when it comes to child rearing and stuff like that, you don't have to wait for a court to put in the order of child support or visitation, yada, yada. You can already have your contracts together amongst yourselves that are enforceable. You don't need a third party to act and behave as your parent. You have to be an adult and do some adulting with your own personal contracts. Now, on the flip side of that, also recognizing what the wealthy do. They utilize entities. All right. I'm sure you've heard of it saying, listen, own nothing, control everything. So no, you don't need to own anything, in your name, because you should probably be utilizing corporations. You should be utilizing trusts in order to, one, to protect your privacy, your legal liability, and also when it comes to polygyny, being fair. If you own a corporation and your wives own an equal share of the company, that's being fair from the go right there. You know what I'm saying? So being able to think on a higher level, and it requires that exceptionalism, if you will, to come forward. So if you need the state to recognize you, then you're just going to be stuck with monogamy. Now, if there's a book by Dr. Nancy Cott, she's a Harvard professor. The book is called Public Vows. She goes into why polygamy died on Congress's floor back in the 1800s. This is not some brand new idea. You know what I'm saying? She really went deep into why, and it basically comes back to white nationalism and superiority and stuff like that, onto why they didn't want to have polygyny legalized, because it protects men. A lot of people think it protects women. The whole court system is not about protecting the family. It's about getting money and exuding control. But polygamy protects the family. Where, for example, monogamy protects the men, meaning that you're responsible for this one woman and the children that come from this one woman. The other ones are bastards and stuff like that. They gotta find out and do what they gotta do. They don't have any rights, if you will. So when it comes to legal versus lawful, we understand that marriage came from the Creator. That's lawful. You should be doing that, and having that covenant, having that protection, and protecting your private parts. In turn, doing much better for society than not, because we see where the not is getting us.
And you know what? That makes me feel better about the whole concept, the way you drew the comparison between lawful and legally. Because if you look at marriage as a whole, and then you have a, you have a religion, you have a faith, and you see what is being done with the entity of marriage. The whole concept is being monopolized and corrupt. So just taking back what was lawfully yours, what was God's intention, it makes more sense. And it actually gives you an ease of mind that your salvation is not under a microscope by living through it lawfully, even if the state, because I had an argument with someone and they said, man, you got to go by the state laws because, that's what the Bible said. But the state law said both men and men can be married. Now you see how jacked up this thing is. You're going to follow it to the T like that, or you're going to follow the word. The word is always going to be here, regardless of any law is going to pass by, the word is going to remain. So it gives me an ease of mind and a better understanding that if I ever have a conversation with the wife. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm scared.
Hey, look, let me make sure my wife ain't in the chat, boy.
See, if you're nervous, man, we got to be able to be safe enough to have them conversations.
Hey, look. I'm gonna talk to you about that offline. But anyways, yeah, I guess that brings me to my question before we talk about how the children can benefit. I just got one quick question to the ladies. I without a shadow of doubt, I don't believe that it was any struggle for you to say, "Hey, Dad, what you think about me having multiple wives?" I'm like, right on, son. Go ahead, champ. But for the women, though, I know your mother or your sister or somebody was like, or your father. How do you reconcile that conversation with your father? Be like, yeah, he's already. And I think I'm talking to Nyla right now. Like, yeah, he already has a wife, and then your father be like, hold on now, like, how did that go down? If you don't want to tear open old wounds.
I'm going to step out for a second because I got to pray, and you can talk to me in a minute.
Here's the interesting thing. So the interesting thing is, like you said, it's funny because I was going to get into that, so it's just good that question came up. When it came to the conformist part of everything, I call it the echo chamber, like, because I feel like when it's a sisterhood is actually supposed to help you and keep you in line. They help you support you, but they also let you know when, you know what, girl, that's stupid, type of thing. The thing now is not really the sisterhood. It's more of an echo chamber. It's more of a ratchet raucous or whatever you want to call it. That's more of what it is. So, but my thing was, so many things I've done in my life was against the status quo, so to speak. It was against what I was like the first to do type of thing. So whether it was to start my own business, I was the first one to go to college. I was the first. It was so many things that I was the first to do. I'm the oldest of 9 anyway. So that is just how it was. However, I was the first to convert to Islam. So it was so many different things that I did that was like, it almost was like, here she go, or maybe it's a phase and we'll see how this is going to play out type of thing. When I think once it really started with the going against the grain, if you will, where it became that one thing was starting my own business. That was the first thing, because it was to go to school, get good grades, did all that, whatever, went off to college and realized that it just was a big scam. I mean, not to, it is what it is. Be real about it. I was paying a lot of money, and by the time you get out, the jobs that you were going to school for don't exist. So when it comes down to it, I was like, you know what, I want, and then I ended up having a child while I was in college. And this was before Islam, this was for all of that. And I'm like, I want to be at home with my child. I don't want to be that person. And fun fact, my career of choice and what I was studying was to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. So I wasn't going to be at home with my child. So I was like, I want to be at home with my child. Somebody during a busy day came to me with a business opportunity. I was like, let me check it out. And it was going on from there. My family didn't like it because it was like, oh, it's a scam and this and that and all these different things. So that was that. Then I converted to Islam. Then it was like, oh my gosh, how you not following what we believe and this and that and the other. So that wasn't. So I've had the, part of issues. I had the issues that people were, that people had a problem with. So I had to be more. I had to be confident in what I was doing, even though I was scared. Even though I didn't know, even though I had to learn along the way and learn as I go and learn and grow as I had to grow to it and learn. So when it came to polygyny, and it took a while before the family talk kind of like died down for the most part. And that was mainly my mom, love her, but it was her because she'll make the side comments like, well, I can't, it wouldn't be me being, with a married man or, I don't do that, type of thing. It was these little side jabs, if you will, and.
But no shade to your mama. She got a man?
You said what?
But no shade to your mom. Do your mother got
My
I know
mom
you.
was married at the time. My mom was married at the time.
Oh, she was married at the time. Okay.
Yeah, and I say she was married at the time because she was in, like I said, certain relationships and certain marriages. And her marriage, she stayed in a marriage for 20 years, over 20 years, that was draining her and just was very detrimental to her. And she kept on and she kept trying and just finally not. So when I think about certain things, and even nowadays, just thinking about it, I still think it's the echo chamber that will stop her from. And she has somebody now who's very wonderful and everything like that. And, you know, he wants to marry her, so that's great. And I like him, so it's different. But it still was this thing because that's not something that society put out there. It's like, okay, well, you are less than. Like, I still get this to this day. I'm like in my co-wife's shadow. And I would say that where even when we're doing business, people are like, well, you don't know what it feels like to be this. You don't know what this looks like. How did you not understand that she would be upset? How did da. So it's like bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. So not only was I getting flack from my family, which is like, how come you couldn't find your own man or those type of things like that? In society, that's what you hear. You constantly hear that, not the point of that. Yes, you understand that this man is married, but this man, and I tease, I say married but available, but that's not where it was just only Coach Nyla. There's men out there, like he talked about earlier, having these exceptional people out there, these exceptional men, but the conversations aren't being had because the conversation, and whatever conversation actually being had, is that it's a negative thing, that the man is only out for his lustful desires, that the women who decide to want to practice it, they're either desperate or they're home wreckers or anything like that. And I remember having a conversation with my uncle. Like I said, no one else in my family that I grew up with is Muslim right now, but I had a conversation with my uncle because he was pretty much juggling two women. And I asked him, I said, are you, did you tell either one of them that you weren't with the other? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay, but do you want to be with them both? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, be honest, say it.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about they say they want honesty, and we say we want honesty, but we don't really value the honesty when it's kind of against what we want or what we want to hear. However, we still respect it. We still respect the honesty. Now, we may be emotional at a time. We may be upset. We may have to reel it back in and say, you know what, let me think about this for a minute, because people got to understand this. We as women are selfish. We're selfish. Yeah. I don't care if it's a incoming wife. I don't care if it's an initial wife. I don't care if it's a daughter. I don't care who it is. We are selfish to an extent that we want what we want. And when I say we want what we want whether it's happiness, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's this thing. And we figure out, okay, how do I get these things in my life? It's not always about, even though we're nurturers and we think about that for our children, but we are of this mindset that when I'm good, everybody else is good. And that's the story that always been fed too. When we are good, everybody else is good. We just have to understand that our being good should not come at the expense of other people that we love. This should not come at the expense of this. What does that look like? What does that look like in polygyny? Because people are like, well, that sounds contradictory, Coach Nyla, because you're saying that it shouldn't come at the expense of anybody, but an incoming wife coming in could be at the expense of the first wife. Not necessarily, because when it comes down to it, when you're thinking about family dynamic, when you're thinking about growth, when you're doing, like I said, the conversations are on these narrow-minded topics, narrow-minded ideas instead of the legacy and the building of the family. I've seen a number of women who are in polygyny. Now it's starting to come out that some of them, we don't stay in the same household. I mean, we're not in the same household, but there's some that stay in the same household and their sisterhood. They're doing well. Then you got some that don't stay in the same household that's doing well. But a lot of people who are doing well, they keep it under wraps because of what society is putting out there of this negative stigma about a man marrying multiple women which he is marrying them. He's not just, peddling them around, or any type of woman that is okay with it if she's an initial wife, or if she is looking for it as an additional wife. So it's really interesting, but we're so scared about what the people say, that it's like, okay, this is what I know that could be good for me, but the people who aren't living my life, I'm letting them control my actions and my thoughts.
Right. So is that something that y'all mutually agree with, or did that just organically happen that y'all were in separate households? Because looking from the outside in, I think it's safe to assume that most people would think that y'all were sharing the household all the way to the bed, same bed. King, what is it? A king size?
No.
Not and never.
Oh,
No. It's
Not the bedroom.
so there is boundaries.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And Coach Nyla, he'll talk, and he says it. He understands that. He said queens need their own castle. We have our own likes, our dislikes, our things that we can do together, things that we would rather do apart. When it comes to being able to have your own space, that's very important. You have your own space to grow, and then you have this time to connect with each other because you miss each other, type of thing. I feel that way. Like, they say distance make the heart grow fonder, type of thing. Sometimes when you're so about it, and I think about even with my kids, I'm like, y'all got to get out of here sometimes. I need y'all out of here. So being able to connect with that, and then plus our family is so huge anyway. If it was anything of living under and living under a roof, it had to be a big, it had to be like an estate, type of thing. But that was already
Predefined.
done. It wasn't anything that you had to discuss, because it was like, okay, this is how it's going to be, and that makes so much sense. Because another thing too that women have to understand is that we've been so trained and conditioned that we know it all and that we are the leaders. It's like, okay, push the man aside, or, some women are trained, I don't need a man for this. I don't need a man for this thing and that, because I have all this going on, but we need each other.
Yeah.
And we are naturally soft. We are naturally nurturers. We are naturally supporters, but we bought into this narrative that it's just about us and nobody but us. And when it comes down to it, we're not respecting the decisions of the leader. We're not because we're bucking and fighting with that nature, that natural order of things. And so when it comes down to it, when the husband, it's kind of almost like, well, he doesn't have what's best for everybody in mind. So I need to step in. I need to check this. I need to do this. And a lot of times, because we are natural nurturers, we do run on emotion. That's what I said. We could be upset. Like, he may already have this whole thing thought out and he talks about it and we're upset about it. Now, we can step back and think about it for a second and be like, you know what? Because 9 times out of 10, he was right. 9 times out of 10, it was an emotional thing, an emotional reaction. And that's what a lot of things come out of if you're not intentional with stopping to think about certain things. You have this emotional reaction,
right,
to things. So when he stated, just pretty much this is how the things are going to be, it's like, okay. And throughout our years, we've worked and changed and evolved and grew and these different things, but one thing stayed the same, that separate homes are going to be separate homes.
So obviously he can't be at 2 places at one time. How do y'all reconcile with the schedule of, or how much time and duration he's required to be in this house versus this house, relegating that time, and also the children? Like, one would argue that all of the kids that y'all make collectively are considered siblings, and they might miss their little brother, but he down the street at the other house. Like, how do y'all deal with that?
That's a good question.
And then also, secondly, is it a penalty when he's running late? Like, hey, you supposed to be here 2 hours ago.
Well, one of the things is, first of all, of course, people can run things how they want to run them, but we advise as best practices to have your own space, period. And of course, I already had a large family to begin with, had 6 children at the time before partaking with polygyny. So we're not going to come up on the same house. Unfortunately, there's a lot of over-sexualized stuff online when it comes to polygyny. All right.
Yeah.
As though we need to practice polygyny in order to have a threesome and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's put there. They all on each other and all kind of stuff with Neo, for example. And that's what they ain't polyamorous. So that's not even a polygyny thing. So that's the idea that really is just pushed out there as some type of what is that called? Like the hedonism, just these hedonistic thoughts in the way of living. So separate homes makes more sense, best practice when it comes to building families. Now, we've always lived in close proximity. Like right now, we're literally neighbors to each other, right? So that's not a problem. And the way I set my schedule up is that on a daily basis, I rotate. So in the evenings, I will switch houses personally, but my sons, for example, we pray all together. My sons are praying right now. Right now, we're in Africa, so we're traveling. We've been traveling the world for the last few years. So it's 5 o'clock in the morning for us, or 5:30 in the morning, currently as we speak, right? So that means it's dawn. It's time for the morning prayer. They're all praying together right now. So they'll be back in a few minutes. I didn't go with them today because, again, with you. So we together every day. So my son, we do world schooling. They together in one house and then the other house and stuff like that. So that took time to get to that point, of course. That takes leadership, that takes vision, that takes thinking beyond yourself. Again, that's legacy driven to begin with. So, but my house is on my house, my sons and family, they come to any house they want to at any time. You know what I'm saying? There's no restrictions and stuff on that. Now that might not mean they're necessarily welcome at a certain time because, you know, when they're watching the game, you know what I'm saying? You know, we several hours ahead. So it's 2 or 3 in the morning sometime the game come on, football game comes on, and they might be just cheering or they might be upset and the other people trying to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's about family and actually really about family. That's the thing that really matters. You know what I'm saying? So that part is crucial. Okay. My wife's going to go ahead and get ready to pray.
Okay.
Right now,
it almost sounds like something, this type of dynamic, with the degree of difficulty would increase if you guys was in the United States. Like, just imagine dealing with all the, because I would think that the people in Africa are more respectful for it because it's cultural. But being in like Atlanta and trying to maintain this and, you know, maybe go out in public and people judging and all this other stuff, I can imagine the tolerance a man would have to constantly put people in check and be like, hey, man, be respectful, you know, to my wife and just asking you stupid questions that kind of invade your privacy and stuff like that. Because, I mean, I can't tell you how many guys like, are you going to ask him this? I'm like, no, bro, like, come on, man. We're grown-ups over here. You want that kind of conversation, you're going to have to go to one of those, what do you call it, hedonistic channels.
Right,
So,
you know what I'm saying? Indeed. Now, the thing is that when you're a man, when we talk about frame, so my wife, they both want to pray right now. So as a man, when you are operating, you have to increase your frame. And again, I mentioned it earlier briefly, but the first part of frame is being fearless. Not fearless as in you just don't ever have any fear. That's not part of it, but more fearless. Being able to sit in your discomfort. You weren't designed to just have an easy life. I mean, you know, it's part of the Marines, embrace the suck, right? You know what I'm saying? That's part of the motto. There's a part of suffering and pain that you're going to have to experience as a man that is required for any type of growth in your life anyway. Whether you're talking about getting in physical shape, you're going to have little small micro tears in your muscles that's put on by resistance of the weight that you lift in order to get what you want. You have to take the time to heal. So pain, suffering, these things aren't necessarily bad. Hurt doesn't necessarily equal harm. All right. So it goes into the type of man. If I'm bothered by other people's whispering and saying this and that, then I am not where I need to be emotionally.
right.
I'm not where I need to be as a leader. That isn't anything for me. Women, it's more different. But as a man, raising up that fearless level. Now, for men I speak with, they're generally intrigued anyway. They like, man, my wife never, and they joke, you know what I'm saying? But again, if we're not even in a safe space to have an intelligent adult conversation when it comes to this, then we are harming our own communities and our people and legacy. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't know about you, but I could pretty safely assume, like my peoples, your peoples, we got uncles, we got cousins, we got granddads, we got all that who had side pieces and other kids, all kind of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I think it was the Godfather himself that was saying, look, man, he's at this level. These women want him. So don't bring back no disease, no outside kids. He deserved to have somebody else. Now, he wasn't talking about polygyny. I'm talking about, of course, polygyny, doing it respectful in an honorable fashion, not just having access to women to, utilize for sex or what have you. So knowing this and being a man, you raise your fearless level. Then your reliability must be. You got to be a man of your word. I think it was Tony Montana said it best. He was like, look, all I have in this world is my balls and my word. You know what I'm saying? So that's crucial. Your ambition got to be going in the proper direction. I think, what was it, Kanye, when he was talking about ambition, baby, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you wash the dishes, but then you be up to the fries, right? But then your masculinity, the image for masculine, understanding what this means. This is just some, machismo or being macho, this and that. I'm a red pill, this or I'm such. Nah, man. You have to really stand in your masculinity. You got to be able to be willing to accept that discomfort. You have to be able to really say, all right, listen, if she disagrees, you could disagree. But the vision that I'm going in this direction, you either have to be on the team or not on the team, where I give you time to really process it, but it's extremely important. See, that's where the turning point happened for me in polygyny. Initially, like I mentioned, I was more of a conformist on this level as that L4, right?
Yep.
Where it's like, okay, well, they don't have to be friends. They don't have to really do this. And I was too soft because outside of the house, take care of business, invested, running business, making stuff happen, leading a team, no problem. Inside the home, no, I was more soft to my wives because you're the provider and protector, right? But as a provider and protector, you want to make sure they're okay. You provide them protect emotionally and stuff too. So anything that brings them to tears or they're not feeling well or something, you try to reassure them. I was being too soft at that point. So one year what happened was that we went to our Eid celebration, our holiday celebration. We went to the Eid prayer. We went to the park. Everybody was there. My wives were there. My kids are there. But they were like moving like kind of ships in the night. The tension was there. My kids were seeing this. And I'm just feeling like this weak leader. Like, what is you doing? How's this tension here? These women are becoming cliquish. They clinging to your initial wife. And then the other wife doesn't feel good. And I'm like, no. At the end of that event, I'm like, listen, this is how it's going to be from now on. We all going together. This is my family. Y'all all under my umbrella. It's not going to be any of this over here and over there. Once I put my foot down on that part, making sure I was standing in my masculinity, that's when they cooperated. They were looking for some strong leadership. Women are attracted to confidence, assertiveness, courage, and I was not demonstrating that at the levels I should have been demonstrating it in the home.
How did you learn that?
Well, I learned it mainly from business principles.
Yeah.
All right. So leadership principles like 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Right. And in business, I was always involved in personal development, with growing a team, with effective communication, with active listening. Right. By participating in different seminars, whether that be Tony Robbins seminars, Brendon Burchard stuff. So I'm investing in myself in different areas of life. And I recognize these same characteristics are needed, especially with the family. So the reality, if I'm talking business terms, I'm a CEO of the family, but my wife sit on the board. So they give me good counsel because we're going in the same direction. But I got to be the chairman of that board because ultimately the decision still relies on me as the man to lead it. Where monogamy goes, for example, many men are emasculated because of the weaponization of sex. So men are told they got to provide and protect. We know what our roles are. When you ask a woman, what's your roles? What do you bring? Well, she's not in the mood. She can deny you, but that covenant says, look, you my only outlet, but you have a problem if I want to get it from somewhere else. So therefore now the power dynamic in the marriage shifts where she's in control. She can weaponize sex. Now you sitting here, sex is marriage. Polygyny.
And you're the provider. And
you got to worry about that no more. You still got to do it regardless of how you feel. You still got to provide. You ain't going to take it from her. You know what I'm saying? Not as a noble person, a human being. You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. So it emasculates me. It has that imbalance. So with polygyny, though, that part, that's gone. Now the man can still lead regardless. Now, keep in mind, we living in this is a very new era that we live in, not just with technology and be able to speak on continents instantaneously without some satellite connection and all that, with airplanes flying through the air. Just 100 years ago, man, concubines were of the day.
Yeah.
Concubines was a thing. So today, men have lust, or if you're chasing your lust, oh, let me get married to somebody. How many people you know were virgins when they got married to begin with?
I don't know any.
So marriage, that's not the point. If you're talking about legacy and building and all of that and having some form of morality, that's where marriage comes in.
Right.
That's where it matters, because you got OnlyFans, you got pornography, you got jump downs, you got escorts, you got side pieces, you got all of that stuff is there for your sexual pleasure. Choose one. You got sugar babies, you got sugar daddies, now you got zaddies. All this stuff, they're all cute until you're talking about actually building, right? So that's where it goes to, what does family actually mean? Well, with polygyny, that allows men to stay in their masculine. That allows them to lead, but because it requires you to become more than twice the man. Yeah, it's cute to talk about you don't want multiple women, blah, blah, blah. You may even have multiple women. People may have multiple women, but they don't know about each other. That weakens you as a man. That takes your reliability and who you are and your word in weakness. That's not attractive no matter what. So understanding that means that increasing your frame allows you to separate yourself from the mediocre masses. And it's not that difficult. You know, average is the top of the bottom or the bottom of the top. Most people are stuck at average. They're okay with it. They talk big, but in order to walk it, that requires action of you. That requires a totally different type of person and a different type of mindset.
So what if I had a conversation with my wife and we were aligned on it, and I wanted to go find another woman who's open to polygamy? Like, how does someone find it?
All right. Well, here's the thing. That's just a good question, right? Because I get this asked. They ask all the time as though women congregate in areas together. Like, yeah, this is the polygamy, page or channel or city, right? The reality is that more you're attracted more than finding it and searching for it. You become the man who attracts it. I'll give an example. I'm responsible for 5 daughters, right? 2 of them are already married, maybe granddaddy, so I'm excited about that. But 3 of them still need to get married. All right. Now, these 3 never been in a relationship, nothing like that. They prefer their husband practice polygyny. So it's my job to try to find a man that helps qualify for that in order to go ahead and, marry them and so on, build families and everything else. So they never been in a relationship whatsoever. All right. So it goes again into that maturity. But how to become that exceptional man and let it be known that you're a polygynous man. Because other men, myself, for example, am looking for husbands. There are uncles, there are aunts, there are mothers, there are grandmothers, there are people that want their daughters to be married to marriageable men. Marriageable, whether he's married or not, he's a marriageable man. You look at this man, it's like, that's a good man. Is he open? Does he possess the resources, the emotional wherewithal, and so on and so forth to measure this person for this young lady here? That makes sense. So it's becoming that way. So if you do speak to your wife and you're open to it, then of course now you need to make it known. Make it known to those same people that might talk crazy to you, might be your mama or aunt or somebody else or whatever, that, yo, you know what, I'm into polygamy, I'm looking at expanding such and such. So one, you make it known. And then that's where you'll likely receive responses. They slide in your DMs or what have you. But now you also have to have the discernment to make sure you're not just seduced by your eyes like men generally are. Women are seduced by their ears. You know what I'm saying? We run a game in order to choose well. And generally, I think I like how you put it when you talk about women need that representation, or they need somebody to represent them basically in discussions. Or, men used to go and ask for their father's hand, and the father would be the one that protect his daughter. So you call it covering, right? Yeah. Well, we call it having a representative or a wali or a wakil, who's a guardian. That's basically a man that's there that helps vet this man. There's not that barrier there. Women think it's women's intuition, all this kind of stuff. You know what? That doesn't seem to be working well. But there's some type of covering, because good game recognize all game. So having a man there in that process matters. So many of the people, it's not necessarily going to be the women that are going to be on the front line. Now the women can go to the man, but men are also looking. So if you are that type of man, you say, all right, I'm on this channel. I'm looking for, I'm open with my wife, we're discussing polygamy. And you know what? I'm open to that. I think I want to have, maybe 5, 6 more children and stuff like that. She understands. You putting that just on your channel, you'll likely get dozens of requests. Right. So that's that process. But what have you done? You've already demonstrated, look, I'm an exceptional man. This is what I do. You see what my thinking is, my emotions, so on and so forth. So people are already evaluating. So now you have people applying, if you will. But you have to have the discernment to go ahead and do it. But you already put in the work. You got to cultivate the field before you expect any type of harvest. So that's how you do it, by becoming the type of man that is an attractive man. Not just physically, that's important too, but working on what you need to work on to make yourself exceptional, like you mentioned earlier.
So, and just to go back to the Black community, because I know we talked about the issues, like, what do you think is the most critical problem that polygamy would actually solve if a great deal of men was like, and women were like, yeah, let's promote this, let's champion. Like, where would that take us in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, where it would take us, interestingly enough, it would take us back. It would take us back where family values were honored, where you could look into a community and actually point out by name the men who are the leaders.
Wow.
So what men right now do you see on a national scale? What Black men are leading the cause for the Black family? We could look at Malcolm, we could look at Huey, you could at Martin, but we going back to the 60s. Yeah. Again, that's not unintentional. So who is it? It's not Cornel West. It's not we can't point to anybody specifically right now. And that's not by accident. So one of the things it will solve, just one, is leadership.
Identify the leadership.
And that's important. I mean, coming from, having a military background with your family.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So when that doesn't exist, you can overtake it. You don't even have to even worry about overcoming or conquering a fight. They already self-destroyed.
Yeah,
That's back to the self-destruction song from the 80s. So one of the main things, of course, fatherless homes. We know the results. We have the data that comes from these fatherless homes. But somehow these women tend to still keep having kids. So there's not like a manless home. There's men that come through. But if you want to stabilize the next generation, if you want to stabilize the family, then you need a strong man there that's leading that family.
If you want to destabilize it. And if you want to I was talking to you, but if you want to destabilize it, then take that out of the home. Take him out of the home. You can see it, just turn the TV on. You can look at the school system. You can look at so many different places that are supposed to be structured and stable. What has happened? Look at our children. Look at the children of color or Black children in the school system. Look at the treatment. Where they'll say certain things. Did some teacher just call one of her Black students a monkey? And I would have told a classroom full of Black children that, you all would have been my slaves.
Whoa, wow.
You'd have been my slaves. Now, from the generation I'm from, she would have had a conversation with me. The generation that we're from would have we would have ended up at school. That's a problem.
There's been some furniture moving over there.
That's right. And we think violence is just with our hands and it's really, that's the easy part, throwing hands. But when we start speaking it out of our mouths, that's a whole nother thing. So when people, we have Coach Nazir was talking about our daughters. So the majority of the children we have are adults, and then we have some little ones. So, but the ratio is more adults than the littles. However, I remember I was at a store somewhere with our 2 oldest daughters, and white lady, it's the usual suspects. She goes, one of our daughters is very fair skinned and the other one is a honey color. So, and this was summer. So one of our daughters was a little bit darker than the other one. And that woman had the audacity and something else to ask me, did they have the same father? Like it was her business. But her assumption, because she's looking at a Black woman that's Muslim, and she didn't ask about husbands. She didn't ask about none of that. She said, oh, do they have the same? Do you know what kind of mental health issues you have to be grappling with to ask? And I said, I'm just trying to go to the store. And here she is asking me about paternity, ethnicity, the stability of the home, and all types of stuff. Just walking out of the house. But then we put our children in the school, and then the teacher's going, well, you know, you'd be my slaves. But who are the parents that are going to show up to this and say, you don't get to talk to our children like that? You've done enough talking and acting and being violent with our children and diminishing us as Black people when we're trying to build something. And they are actively destroying the nuclear family. And we're going, yay, look at that. I think that's awesome. Take our husbands out of the home, tell us we don't need them, and sell us on it. We don't need them, and then we support we don't need you all. We don't want you. We don't need you for anything. We don't even need you to parent our children, because these are my children, because I'm their mother. So they don't even get the parental, rights. So they're doing this in our faces. They're not hiding it. The family becomes unstable. It's stable when we talk about monogamy, but oh no, when we talk about polygyny and actually having some type of solution to this madness, then we're the violent ones. We're the ones in the wrong. It's incredible how we just go, I wonder if they're kind of trying to destroy us. No, they've been on that. So we need to really wake up and be aware and have situational awareness and understand that the programming that's happening. So solution, and they got a problem with the solution. So,
now that I look back at a lot of the things that transpired and what was accepted legally, it almost makes me feel shocked that same-sex marriage was legalized before a man could have multiple wives.
Oh, yes.
It's almost like it was intentional. Even like as a parent, it almost feels like the parent, not you guys, but just in general, parents would be more inclined to accept that their kid would represent what LGBT versus their daughter being married into a polygynous relationship, which is kind of wild to me.
Oh yeah, again, we live in a society that's upside down and backwards, man. So with the rainbow flag and the letter peoples and stuff like that, who are the ones they putting out there? Why they got to be Black men? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Why you got to be Uncle whatever dude name was? Whatever. Why is that? No, Uncle Clifford. Uncle Clifford. So why you got to be these little boys that have these issues? I got a problem with you sexualizing children, period. When the U.S. is number one sex trafficker in the world, especially with kids, and they talk about this Epstein list and stuff like that. This is part of their history. Mm-hmm. So the Karen that was trying to talk to her, that whole caucasity issue is very common. But we don't expect people to have caucasity to think that they're going to be operating under anything with proper morals anyway. So when you talk about the Black family, what's it going to do? One's going to provide an anchor. Somebody's going to be there to protect it. But once you don't, once that is removed, once that is incarcerated, once that person is injected or drugged or what have you, or put out and not dealt with their traumas, then we got what we got. We got Milwaukee, 80% single mother-led households in the city, where you less than 6% of the population making up the majority per capita of people who are locked up. Black men are locked up, and the number one offense, the offense there is just having weed. So your first offense is a misdemeanor. Your second one is a felony. And Michelle Alexander broke down very well what that means in the new Jim Crow. So Milwaukee being that first welfare to work state, for example, being ground zero for testing people becoming felons after the second conviction to misdemeanor that is a felony. So that is absolutely why it looks the way it currently looks right now, when it used to be called the second Harlem, where it was thriving. So if we still not recognizing that there's a war against the Black family, something got to be done about it. You know, one, so the major issue that I feel, if you come back to the crux of it, is our lack of morals and our accepting of immorality. So it doesn't matter. You can be Muslim or not Muslim or whatever and practice polygyny. I would rather work with somebody who has some form of morality, no matter what your religious leaning or your faith background is. Because now we can connect on a certain level and do what's better for people in general. And that starts with the family.
Absolutely.
So that's
and since you mentioned that, go ahead, Nyla. Look like you got to go.
Yeah, well, just really quick. I was just thinking about that and about the exceptional men and the male role models, and how, like Coach Nyla was saying, how that would change because you have these male role models and you have these exceptional men, these leaders that are stepping up. And I was thinking about, like I stated before, about my upbringing and growing up, and also having a bunch of, I call it like my cousins and my uncles and everything like that, but looking at how things were created where they weren't incarcerated, like for these minor things or little things, and they were gone for a while. And I remember my female cousins and everything like that, we were talking about how we missed that. And I think about how things happen in our lives. You asked me about if my mom had a man, and it was really interesting thinking about that. The person who she's with now, the person who is better to her and everything like that, he comes around after the fact. But my brother is heavily in my mom's life. My brother is in the military, so he was traveling and everything. But now my brother is heavily in my mom's life, where she stays with him now. And I think about the protection. So my brother has been this protection for her, even if it's just his presence. You know, so just the presence of the male, the strong man and the strong male role model, it's like it deters the trash, it deters the garbage, it deters those things. And once we understand that and come together, instead of letting society tear us apart, that's going to be better all around the board, and not letting polygyny be something that's a stigma, but saying, you know what, this is going to increase the legacy, this is going to increase the bond, this is going to increase the family dynamic and that strong family dynamic.
Absolutely. So the other question I have for you is, like, what was the catalyst that gave y'all the inclination that, like, you know what, it's time to be coaches? And this is so the question, why did y'all start coaching?
All right, that's a really good question. First, I meant to say earlier that if a person is wondering if they polygyny material or qualify for it, we did set up a quiz. A person can take a quiz, take about 5 minutes at polygamyquiz.com. So they can go to polygamyquiz.com and kind of determine, men and women, where they kind of fall, you know, on that spectrum. So take like 5 minutes. Anyway, one of the things is, because we struggled at the beginning, we didn't have any practical advice. We know what the rules and regulations were when it came to like time and money and stuff in polygyny, right? But we did not know how to deal with it from a perspective of leadership, how to deal with it emotionally, how to deal with the practical parts of actually living it with the family, right? So once we finally kind of broke through after about that 5-year markish and got to at least a satisfactory level, then it was a matter of saying, all right, look, do we want to go ahead and share with other people kind of what we got to benefit them and receive more blessings that way? Or do we just want to keep quiet like most successful people would do anyway, right? So we had to come to that crux. And since I was already involved in online business and had a background and stuff like that when it comes to internet marketing and stuff like that, it was like, all right, well, we can definitely make a difference by sharing with other people. You know what I'm saying? Being the change that we wanted to see in the world. Because when we went to YouTube or Yahoo groups, which was big back then, and Google groups and stuff like that, there was little talk about polygyny at all. You know, there was just the structural stuff, and that's that. And there was generally a man talking about it just from his perspective. We still haven't come across. There are a few places where it might be a man and his wives and stuff like that, but generally speaking, not from a high level practical practicing it way, or there are TV shows and all that kind of stuff for entertainment purposes only, but not educational purposes. So we decided to step into those roles and become the change that we really wanted to see. So I had to develop more. My wives, Coach Nyla was already Coach Nyla. She was the first person doing stuff, but it wasn't dealing with polygyny. It was doing another business venture and stuff that she had going on. And then we kind of adopted that after the fact and evolved over time to empower many people. Now, of course, I have millions of views online and many different clients and stuff like that, really approaching it from a high level, but also getting granular when it comes to this topic.
I think, and mine was, I was what do they call it? I was kind of put into this space of being called on to coach women in polygyny before I was online with it. I was in private groups and speaking to women at their homes, at coffee houses about polygyny, kind of like in an underground way. So I would get these little calls and these little whispers and these little texts. Can you meet this sister here? Or can we talk? Or can you come to my home and speak or whatever? And I was nervous, but I'm like, okay, I've reached a certain point, so I'm going to start talking about this. And it really wasn't until Coach Nazir was like, you know what, you could do this, but you got to be willing to be online and get in front of the camera. Because face to camera, as you know, is different than talking to your friend in the privacy of your home. Once you're out there, you're out there. And I would be out there as a wife and a mother. So once the story is out, it's out.
Yeah.
So it's intimidating initially to get in front of the camera and speak about polygyny coming from the perspective of where I received the information or where I am in the journey, period. It was like, okay, once I put my foot in something or once I go, I'm gone. I'm in it. So I knew there were so many people that their families were hurting, and if our family could help them, then I really felt like we needed to do that too. I was like, I'm gonna have to be a part of that. I'm gonna have to tell my story, even if it's embarrassing, even if it's difficult, it's gonna help somebody. And that's what is so fulfilling about this kind of work in polygyny. Because the more we talk about it, the better we're going to feel if we're willing to do that work.
And that's how I feel, man. Like anytime you've achieved or you accomplish something that someone else is, struggling to achieve, you should be someone to lean on for that information and guidance. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I became a coach, because people would ask me all the time before I even started coaching outside of YouTube is like, how are you able to maintain your marriage so long? It really started with the circle that I had. Like, can you help me with this problem? How did you deal with this? I remember you mentioned you and your wife had went through this, but you never gave us the details on how you navigated and resolved it. And a lot of this information, what like Coach Fatimah said, was embarrassing. So it only made sense to be able to open up a channel where we could have these private conversations, and to ensure that people were serious about it. You got to kind of charge people for this stuff, because I remember when I first started coaching, I started doing stuff for like $10, $20. People would come booking up my calendar to try to debate me on the topic. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to help you with a problem. You online say you fill out the questionnaire saying you had a relationship problem, but you came in here to tell me that I hated that you put that content out in there. You wrong, you a misogynist. I'm like, hold on. So now you got to kind of jack the price up, so you only got people in there that serious. So it was a journey, most definitely, but I wholeheartedly believe if you live in this world long enough and you achieve anything that is transformation or transformative, some type of value, you should be giving back to somebody who wants the same thing. And y'all identify that. And I gotta honestly say, I do not know. Like when I met Coach Nazir on LinkedIn, by the way, all the exceptional men always meet on LinkedIn some kind of way, some miraculous way. Shout out to him. Well, when I met him on LinkedIn, I was like, man, he's like the first one I ever known in my entire life, online and offline, that actually got it down packed. And I was excited to get him on. But man, just knowing y'all's story just peel back all the layers that I was just curious about. And I'm glad y'all took the time out to come and talk to me about it.
Hey, man, it's definitely an honor for us. Now, again, you make me sound better than I am, having it down packed. We all growing, we all learning, stuff like that. So that's just it's a part of life. It's ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? Again, you might be peering in right now at a chapter 15 versus the beginning. So, everybody talks about they want to be a champ and all that stuff, but they want to put the hours and stuff in the gym that it requires, that ugly work that requires that discipline. So, again, it's all part of that process in any part of your life you want to excel in. So I'm working to get it down pat as a husband, as a father, as a man, as a black man. So all of this stuff matters, but that's just a part of growth in the process that we want people to commit to and understand.
Now I feel like I identified somebody to go get coaching from, because I've been coaching couples, and I'm like, are y'all open to just y'all are not just restricted to polygynous couples? Y'all coach just monogamous couples too, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, even
I got somebody to go to now, because I got to tell my man, this man got 2 wives in order now. He got to know what he's talking about. So
there's definitely different dynamics that you're not going to come across in monogamy. But minimally, like even what I encourage men to do, first of all, I encourage all of them to strive for polygyny, even if that's not their intention. All right. Similarly, as one of my coaches encouraged me, said, look, become a millionaire. Not just for the fact of having a million. He said, become a millionaire for what it will make of you on that journey. So even if you don't intend to practice polygyny, work for who it will make of you. It will make you more emotionally available and wise. It will increase your leadership skills. It will make you more empathetic. It would also make you a better decision maker and have more discernment. So for what it will make of you, even if you don't intend to practice it, though, that should be an option for you, because you should have optionality anyway as an exceptional person. But if you strive for that, because the dynamics are different and requires more, it will separate you massively from the mediocre masses. So when we say outstanding, one of the things about being outstanding, because our company's outstanding personal relationships, is to be outstanding, you have to be willing to stand out. And if you're going to be exceptional, the challenge is that means you are the exception to the rule. Right. You have to be willing to be that exception, which means you're going to take those shots. Mm-hmm. All right. But you're willing to do that to be exceptional. Most people aren't. So if just being willing and going through it will make you better, will make you stand taller, will make your family that much more proud, and actually leave an intentional legacy.
Man, I appreciate that. Well, look, man, this conversation has been great. I don't want to hold y'all up too long. I appreciate y'all blessing me with y'all time. Is there any lasting thoughts or lasting comments y'all want to make or questions before we roll, wrap it up?
I would just give the men some advice. Really quick, invite your wives to your vision. Do that, and wives be willing to listen. So if there's some women out there that want to connect with any one of the 3 of us, will each probably go along and see how you could do that, and your husbands can too. So if you are committed to actual change and not just intrigued by chance, you can contact me, Coach Fatimah, CoachFatimah.com, for details on my coaching and everything I have to offer there. I work with ambitious women, and I hope for the best for all of you. So yes, that's how you can contact me.
Excellent.
You can contact me and find out more about my programs and courses, as well as coaching, CoachNyla.com, and follow us at Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Outstanding Relationships on IG and Facebook, Outstanding Personal Relationships.
That's our brand. So, and if it's specific about polygyny, you can just go to polygamycoaching.com and get all our information and stuff like that as well. So again, we suggest everybody get the book minimally. It's a small investment, or you get the ebook as well. But Let's Talk Polygamy, where these are basically 3 perspectives, 1 story. So it's over 300 pages, so you can dive in where you want to dive into. We get right to the nitty gritty. It's uncensored, and we go from there. So again, we definitely appreciate you and your platform being able to add value and prayerfully open some people's eyes to it, bust some myths along the way, and stop some stereotypes, so that we can reunite our Black nuclear family just at a base level, but on a human level, bring back polygyny and make it great again.
Amen to that. We need to put that on the hat for sure. Hey, look, and I'm gonna make sure I get you my information, my address, so I can get that book. I wanted to first hold you to the live stream first before I gave you my address. I was like, look, we're gonna have to reciprocate first.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah, but man, without any wasting any more time, even though we didn't waste no time at all, I think you knocked everything out of the park and debunked anything that we gonna
Well,
be
do you
watching
have
in the
any?
back.
My wife wondered if you have any questions. They may be able to address some questions that you might have for your audience as well.
Yeah, so yeah, chat. If anybody got any questions, if y'all want to pull up and ask a question, or y'all just got something y'all want to throw in the chat. I know some of y'all don't even want to just come appear online. I'm gonna open up the. I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes for a caller to come in if y'all available. If y'all got a question that y'all want to ask the
Yeah, that'll
family.
work. And again, polygamyquiz.com. If they wondering if they polygamy material, polygamyquiz.com will kind of sort it out a little bit and let you know where you may be weak at or strong.
Yeah, I'm over here taking this thing now. I sent it to my wife too. I wonder how she gonna feel when she see that.
Hey,
Personal.
many people don't know they sleeping with the enemy until they had a polygamy conversation. You know, and that I'm not, again, not just mention you, but one of the things is that we find you get some women who they expose themselves as a combative level. They like, I'll take the kids, you'll never see them, you're not gonna do. So they end up weaponizing the kids against you and don't understand how they may impact their view of loyalty or love. Like, how do you come back from certain things that you say? Like Coach Fashion mentioned earlier, that's violent with your mouths against the one that's protected and provided for you. You know, so many people don't know where their marriage really is until they had a conversation about somebody else in polygyny.
Yeah, man, I remember. I'm trying to figure out what movie was that. Where was it? It wasn't Coming to America. I think he was looking for one wife at that time. But I think Coming to America, it would have made sense that he would have multiple wives. I'm like, yo, what? He got to try to pick, but why can't he just have all of them?
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Because he had his bathers.
Right, but because society was like, no, you're not going to do that.
No.
That's like, again, should Eddie Murphy be qualified to have multiple wives? He already got multiple wives, children. Why not? If he got his Being Eddie documentary, his huge mansion that Cat Williams had bragged about back in the day and stuff like that, why? Why should he be prohibited from building his family how he wants? I mean, you got Elon Musk, all these baby mamas, putting them all on one land in the state and stuff like that. Now, I know one of the questions or one of the things, I don't see the comments because my laptop is over there, but I'm sure one of the people, they said, well, can we have multiple husbands? You might have saw that somewhere possibly. And if not, you want to address the whole multiple husband knee-jerk reaction thing, because that's something that people usually always say, well, you have multiple wives, and I'm going to share if I have multiple husbands.
And it's ironically, it's usually the women who throw that question out. What about having multiple husbands?
Right,
it's simple.
Exactly.
It's really simple. My grandmother broke that down for me in high school when I met this guy. She said, you got to be careful with your body because women are built to receive, not give. So don't tear your body up thinking you can do what men do. We want to say things to hurt men, so we throw that out there. You know, I don't say that. I've never said, I want multiple husbands. What does it look like? What does it look like? When you get pregnant, who's the father? Whose breakfast do you make first? Who do you go to bed with? How do you change the schedule? What do you do when they start fighting in the kitchen over you and trying to kill each other? Remember years ago, we had dogs, father, son. We took them to the vet. The vet said, you got to separate them. And we were like, wait, I was going, that's his puppy. He said, it don't matter. They're two males. They will kill each other over their territory, over their food, over their resources. It does not matter. They can like each other right now, but then boom, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They're two males. We're not men. And that's one thing that Coach Nyla and I know that. We come from a place where we taught that. However, we had women that had to act masculine for survival. Did they want to? No, because that's an attribute of a man. So did they want to be single mothers and have to get out there and get it? No, because we saw it. What ended up happening is they become angry trying to carry the weight of it. So one thing that women need to understand, not all women, that we're not men. We're not men. And we don't know what it looks like when we say, well, I can be the man and the woman, and I can do both, and I don't eat them, and you don't know what being a man is. because you've never been one.
Right.
So it's beautiful to embrace femininity, and we do have to step into our masculinity sometime, that energy. When Coach Nazir and our sons are not with us and we're in an Uber together in Africa, the two of us American women going to the mall, we gotta think it's you or it's us. And if it's between Coach Nyla and I and an Uber driver that has ill intentions, he's in trouble.
He in trouble.
That plan is already up here, and we just have to execute if we have to. So that's acceptable. But telling Coach Nazir, well, I feel like you should practice polygyny when you get 40, because that's a conversation that he has to have with himself as a man. And my job is not to mother him. It's not our job. I'm his wife, I'm not his mother. So I don't get to raise a man that has been raised. It's a conversation that he really has to have deeply with himself and decide, is this something that he wants to do? And then that vision, it's a vision now. We don't realize men have a mission and vision driven, and they don't stop until they are dead. And then when women go, I don't like your vision, and I don't like your mission, and I don't like you, and what is he supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
What is he supposed to do with it? Have a successful marriage? We have to be careful of not stepping on each other's toes and getting mixed up in each other's roles. We're not supposed to do that. And then we're not supposed to do it and have an expectation that we'll have a successful, peaceful, harmonious home that's happy. You won't be happy if I start acting like I'm the leader and pipe down. This is when we're gonna go to pray, and this is when we're gonna have dinner. You shh. If I did that right now in this moment, the people in the comments, I know who the problem is. It's that person. Like she's him, and that's something that I don't want to do. That's why I married a husband. It's very important. It's very important. Just have
And
to
you know
say
what? And you know what? And I've been meaning to actually, I don't know why this ain't popping in my mind when I was talking about y'all, Coach. I noticed there sometimes whenever you have it, you deal with a great deal of a number of people, you recognize a pattern of the same problem repeating over people or relationships. And I would say and I'm gonna ask you, what is the number one common issue or the most difficult issue that you guys have to, or problem you have to solve? For me, it's when a man and a woman has been married for 15, 20 years. And right now I got two of them. I've had several of them ask me, but two have booked the consultation with me. And it's a problem that I struggle to solve. And that's why I brought it up to the lead attorney the other day about it. And it's whenever a man and a woman has been married for over 10 years, they live in an alimony state, permanent alimony in case of divorce. The man is the sole provider, and the woman, she don't desire him anymore intimately. And he's asking, hey, can I get my needs met elsewhere? Is there another option? And she's like, oh no, how dare you? And if you decide to do it, I will divorce you. And you know what's going to happen. And I think this is something or these two women are hanging over these men's head. And it's like he wants to go out. He wants to be with his wife. He don't want to be with nobody. He want to be with his wife. It's just wife just don't really have that drive. And I'm like, how can these men solve that problem? Some guys are saying just divorce, move on. But then guys are like 50 and 60 are like, man, it's hard to kind of start over again. And that's when the lead attorney came in and said, man, you got to live. You got to value life. You can't be overvaluing half of your pension over the rest of your life. You got less years ahead of you than behind you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to just value that. So I'm just curious to what are y'all thoughts on that, and what is the most difficult problem y'all had to solve as coach?
You mean personally for a client or this particular situation?
But this particular situation, like how would you, like if you were coaching somebody, a man came to your office and said he was dealing with this dilemma, like what would you propose?
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance. There's a whole lot of nuance that goes on with that. But unfortunately, it's also something that's very common where a lot of men suffer in silence. All right. So men end up turning to a lot of different vices in the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he either is eating for comfort, which can be bad for your health, especially sugary foods, high carb foods, or drinking, smoking, participate in other things like that to kind of get that dopamine hit or get a little serotonin going on to try to make up for the pain that he's experiencing. All right, that would not be a surprise. Now, of course, where I come from, meaning that the perspective I'm talking about is polygyny. Now, but that's adding on to it. That's not going to solve this issue. There's not necessarily anything going to be able to solve a particular situation other than weighing your options and choosing your losses. That's the old song, got to know when to fold them, got to know when to hold them, got to know when to walk away.
Yeah, but I remember that song.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of wisdom in it. But the fact is, you're already losing. How much more loss or continuous suffering is going to go on? What is that worth? Let me give an example. If we put it in monetary terms, well, let's say there's a divorce to take half of your wealth or whatever. And let's say it's worth 7 figures. So that's $500,000. Is quality of life, is peace of mind worth that $500,000? All right, you don't know how much time is left, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. Would that be, could that be the best 5, 10, 20, 30 years of your life still ahead of you, quality of life wise, even though you took that loss? Now, we could look at other people who've taken losses and went bankrupt and all that and came back from it, but you have to be emotionally there for it, because where we are and where we sit are the cumulative result of the decisions that we made in our lives. So whether it's the weight or the relationships or the challenges or whatever, you know, we got there based on the small choices that we make every day in our lives. The question is how much longer do I want to continue on this path? Because you can only control yourself. You can't control her. But if that is worth more, if this $500,000 is worth more for the next 20, 30 years of his life, because he's in his 50s or his 60s, then that's the decision that he's going to make.
Yeah.
You know, you got to weigh that. There are some people that say, look, I'll be good with nothing as long as I got peace of mind. I can start over. You can't take that from me. I can live. I can breathe. I don't have to suffocate anymore. But if we tie to that identity or that stuff, if you will, you know, there's a saying that probably maybe can help put it in perspective a little bit more. To say, you know, as men, as humans, we have thousands of different goals, right? Thousands, just all over the place. But a sick man has one. Sick man has one. So if the sick man only has one, those things don't mean anything. Let's say he becomes sick or terminal in a month or two, or the next 5 years. None of these things actually matter. But if you created it and you worked and invested in yourself, you should be able to at least try to do it again or shift some things with what you created, your investments, your money and stuff like that. Now, if it's about protection, again, that's using entities well, whether that's trust, irrevocable trust in particular, if that's corporations, if that's making sure you're shifting things around before you decide to put the system involved with your stuff in a legal or the proper way. Again, talk to the lead attorney, because sometimes if things are done with a certain amount of time, the courts can, you know, revoke some things or take some things back. But there are options. But the question is, how much are you valuing that over your future? And that's a painful process either way. You've already taken some losses. I know men that have brought polygamy conversation up 8 years ago, arguing with their wife, trying to convince her for the last 8 years, and have built resentment and all kind of other problems and challenges going on versus making a decision. Because you got to have to do it one way or the other. But knowing what level that you're on matters.
And that's what those levels that you're
level 5 man, it's not going to work. You just don't know what that part is going to be, because many women don't want husbands. Many want sponsors. And many men don't want wives and responsibility that come with being a husband. They just want the title to say, all right, I have this. This is somebody that's under me that I'm doing, because it's kind of embarrassing to be 50 and 60 and you talk about you got a girlfriend.
Good way to put it.
That's why you laugh, because that's true. So I hope that helped a little bit, but you got to.
Man, that helped. It helped, man, and it
Yeah.
confirmed a lot for me.
So,
But as far as y'all, I haven't got the answer of what is the most common issue that y'all have to solve, or is there even one?
Yeah. The most common issue that we deal with is the transition. Is your
Oh,
monogamy
transitioning from monogamy to polygamy.
Yeah, yes, because
That makes sense.
there's not much practical information out there outside of kind of what we do with educating, because our society is so pro monogamy and pro LGBT blah, blah, rainbow community that can't even produce children naturally. And in nature, when something can't produce, it just dies off. So,
Damn.
since it's against morality and polygyny, which is simply a form of marriage, then that transition, having the ability to be emotionally mature. Nobody took an emotional maturity class 101 in 7th or 8th grade or in high school. We don't get that, like we don't get finances 101. So many end up dead and end up scammed. Meaning you're still confused about money. So our biggest issue and challenge is dealing with a man being able to be in his masculine, increase his leadership enough to be fearless, to practice it, to say what the boundaries and the rules and everything is going to be, and paint his vision, versus cowering, being weak, being more timid, and so on, right? Like being conformist, that level 4 man. That's where I was at the beginning of polygyny. So that part for the man, but then of course for the initial wife, there is the whole transition. The women are possessive, normally jealous and so on, normal stuff, and they have to go for that, but the society has her back. Society's like, oh, he shouldn't be doing this, he's doing this, you chasing lust, all that. So the whole sister code goes there. Then of course the incoming wife, she's looking for a husband and a family to build because he's married. That's just polygyny. But now, oh, this is a home wrecker. This is somebody, you should just be a mistress or blah, blah, blah. So those are the main challenges. But the main thing, of course, is when you're talking about even saying the word polygamy, all right, men perk up like, oh, this is interesting. Women are like, oh, no, what? You want to talk about who? What? Something wrong with me? Am I not enough? And all kind of other stuff come with it, showing, again, demonstrating the lack of emotional maturity that goes there. So that's the biggest jump, to be able to go from the emotional side, the intangibles. It ain't the money. It's not the time. It's the intangibles of a relationship that you deal with all the time on a different level that everybody's dealing with, because that comes all the way back to family, whether you're married or not.
Man, phenomenal, man. Man, you break things down so eloquently, man. It's just hard to, if anybody's watching this and you don't understand this, man, I swear I can listen to you all day, man. The way you teach. I don't know, man, because when I was in the military, man, I used to listen to some of my instructors give PowerPoint presentations. And, bro, I used to fall asleep. You're straight and direct to the point, no fluff, no unnecessary sentences or nothing. I don't know if that's an Islam thing or what, or is that just a Coach Nazir thing?
It's a personal growth thing.
Man, you well read. And guys, as you can see, man, it's important to be able to bring people in here that can actually educate us, to give us information that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get through whatever resources that may be. Just having people that actually live the life is a luxury. It's a flex to be able to put in front of an audience so that you can hear it from the horse's mouth. So I can't tell you how much I thank y'all for taking the time to come out here and do this for me. Y'all are more than welcome to come back.
Being open to it. So we know it's not an easy topic, but you address things that are not easy all the time. So we appreciate what you're doing, how you're empowering and impacting people. So again, it's definitely our pleasure to be here and to serve your audience. Yeah.
So we got to make sure we stay connected, coaches, because I'm gonna be hitting y'all up. You know what I'm saying? When I had that come, once I finish this men's polygamy readiness assessment, shoot, it's gonna come over there. Y'all gonna...
All right, bro. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. Again, appreciate you. Let your people know they can go to polygamyquiz.com to take the same assessment you just took, or let's talk polygamy.com to grab the book and go from there.
You know what? Crazy as we say, we getting wrap it up. I think I got a guy in here that wants to ask a question. If you want me to pass on it, we can. But if you want him to come in, he just popped up. Okay. What's going on, OG Nehemiah? You got a question?
Oh, shalom. What's going on, everybody? Peace and love and light to everybody.
Shalom, peace.
Hey, I just wanted to give my brother a compliment. Peace and love and light to the house. Both of y'all. D.I. introduced my brother Kiefer to you with the truck and you cooking. So that was a great connection for both of y'all. And you know, polygyny, so many things to talk about, man. But you know, I know you ain't got that much time to shift. But I've been married for over 30 years, reared up 12 children with 40 grandbabies.
Shout out to
Congrats.
One grandbaby on the way.
Good. Congrats. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? These
Yeah,
types of discussions matter.
they do. We see it more prevalent right now when the world going through its shift right now, dealing with this Donald Trump and the government. And I ain't even mad at none of it because the breakup of the family was the thing that they tried to create. Everything with COINTELPRO and going back. Going forward, the family needs to come back together anyway. And that's what happened. And then when a man has his wives and his family in focus, he's more focused, he's more determined, he's more of a threat, you know what I'm saying, to the mainstream situation, right? Because he's dead center on keeping his family together. I guarantee you can't tell Nazir nothing he won't do for them 2 women and his children. That man going out every day, he focused, he got his women, he's a fence around them, like he says in the Apocrypha. They protect it, you know what I'm saying? They can lean on him, he can lean on them. They don't even teach you like group economics. One wife is a nurse, one wife is a teacher. I got trucks, now my sons drive, you know what I'm saying? Lead me to do other businesses. I kind of put in there, I don't know if you ever, Nazir, you heard of my brother, Judah Moshe, in Israel, and also probably Judah the Shooter.
No.
He down in Texas. You could probably Google him on Facebook real quick, Judah Moshe or Judah the Shooter. If you Google him on Facebook real quick, he got like 6. I think he just got a 7th wife. And I remember when I introduced him to India, was his first wife, or she go by Judah. And man, he has grown beautiful children. He moved to Texas. He got like 3 books about
Let me ask you a
polygyny.
question, OG.
Go ahead.
What's the one thing, if you could share with people, that has been the most beneficial for your family due to polygyny?
Man, the most beneficial thing, the tribe mentality, working together, being together, moving together, the protection, everything. Like, bro, like living together. My children have to worry about the stuff going on in the neighborhood, like somebody getting on them. So I got 6 boys, 6 girls. And then, you know, being, you know, self-educated, giving them their education. You know what I'm saying? So they was all smart. They learned how to grow. Like I say, one is a teacher, one is a nurse, one wife. So they health conscious. We don't even eat meat no more. I've been off meat for about 4 years, be 5 years in April. I mean, it's so much, man. I just can't begin to tell you all about it.
See, this is one of the things that makes it challenging for others who have an ulterior motive for our communities. When you have a man that has 12 wives, 40 grandkids, that requires something of him and a mindset for these people. Now, what
I only got 2. Only got 2 wives.
Oh, 2 wives, 12 children. My bad.
2 wives, 12 children.
2 wives, 12 children, 40 grandchildren. That's on the way.
There you go.
So
yeah, 2 wives.
What if there were 10 men like this? If there were 10 men like this, right? That's 120 children, right? Over 400 grandchildren. That's a bond. That's a family. That's a community. That's a tribe. So understanding that this can represent danger to people outside this community that have ulterior motives matters. Hence, you're not going to see polygyny out there being heavily promoted. But it's interesting because the lighter complexion, if you will, those who they are not producing enough children, so therefore within a few short years they're going to be considered the minority in America, should be trying to do that if they want to try to still be considered a minority in the country. However, we know how it's structured, we know how it works, we have a deeper, strong stronger sense of spirituality and value when it comes to family than outside of that, from my experience and opinion. So this is why it's a big challenge for people. But once we tap into that and understand the benefits that come from it, we should be more open to it. Because if we just relegate it to just simply a sexual thing, which is what people say, well, I want multiple husbands. You just think about sex. You're not thinking about the responsibilities that come with that. You don't want to wash clothes and cook and do all this kind of stuff in multiple households. You literally only thinking about the sexual aspect. Once you get past that piece and you really see the responsibilities that come with it, you'll be embarrassed to make such a knee-jerk response as a woman. All right. So anyway, I just want to share that, but I'm glad the brother was able to come up, kind of share his experience and share the thing that really comes to it. Because basically he said family and tribe, you know, and how many of our people can really say that structurally, that's what they're really proud of. You know, that part matters.
Yeah, that part is important, man. And that's my biggest takeaway from all of this is the family unit, just being able to, you know, be fruitful and multiply like the word said. And anything against that, which typically is prevalent today, it seemed like it's put there to kind of stunt that, to get in the way of that. And I think it was put there intentionally to cause us to marginalize who we are as a family, as a community, or whatever. So shout out to you, Nehemiah, for sharing that.
Hey, may I build with that a little bit? Can I build with that just a second? I want to go back to the 60s and 70s where I was at, where my grandfather sat on the porch. And the porch is the epicenter of the neighborhood. And that neighborhood where the men was at, where my brother Nazir had perfectly demonstrated in his conversation just now, you didn't have predators come into the neighborhood. Kids wasn't getting snatched. You know what I'm talking about? The children can play outside safely. Grandpa on the porch, right? He had his blues on, he had his JB Scotch, and he had, you know what I'm talking about? He had his pipe, he had his cigar. And he just sat there and rocked everybody, hey, how you doing, Mr. West? How you doing, you know, Daddy Jake or whatever? And I do the same thing myself now, you know what I'm saying, in my latter years. And I just watch y'all go, hey, shalom, Papa, hey, shalom, Papa. And, you know, they run up and hug and say, what's up, little short niggas? I got knuckle sandwiches for you little jokers. You know what I'm saying? and they just love, and I watch them play, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing. And it's funny to watch life flip like that. But when you have a community like that, you don't have them problems. You get respect like that, and that riffraff ain't around when they know the lines are around. Nazir, you know what I'm talking about, right?
100%.
When the men are around, when the men are at home, that riffraff ain't around, especially when they know, hey, boy, we got them teeth out. You ain't messing with these women and these children.
100%. That's our responsibility as men. So again, that's why I encourage every man to strive to practice polygyny, even if that's not necessarily your ardent desire to do it, for what it will make of you. All right.
Oh, so here's another thing. If you're a serial monogamous, meaning that you're jumping from lily pad, one woman to one woman to one woman to one woman, you're a serial monogamous. You're a polygynist. If you are just having multiple girlfriends, multiple sex partners, whether a man or a woman, you're a polygynist. You're just not honest with it. Most people comfortable being side chicks. I'm saying, brother, what people ain't ever taught you is that you have something in you. You just ain't been taught how to use it, talk it, translate it, and understand what it is. Remove all social norms, all religious bias. A man was naturally built to procreate at every transaction he has with a woman. That makes sense? Remove everything that you know and bring it back to biology. He was built to keep the human genome alive. That's his basic function. Reproduce, pass information down. That's what he was meant to do, right? Women was to take that, nurture it, keep it, you know what I'm saying, give her energy to it, and then, you know what I'm saying, carry it forward. You know what I'm saying? We were meant for each other. I'm not nothing without her, and she ain't nothing without me. Together, we are gods. We create life, and we carry it forward into the future. We need each other. I'm with Nazir 1,000,000%. Hey, I salute you. I salute you. Peace and love and light to your house, bro. And to you too, D, you and your beautiful wife.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, look, now, I'm gonna start pushing this material, and not material, but this concept and this understanding that. And I'm with Coach Nazir on Exceptional Man. I think exceptional man should embrace it. And I think every man should strive to become exceptional as a default. And whenever you do that, push forward to become polygamous. And whenever somebody try to challenge me or push back on me, man, I'm gonna be calling for y'all, man, to come save a brother. And then look, until I get that book, I'm gonna be calling on you because I think that book gonna give me the tools I need to be able to have a stance or some type of understanding to be able to articulate why it actually makes sense. And I got this video too. This video is gonna be chopped up a lot to be able to push out so that we can get the message out. And I appreciate y'all all coming up here, man. It's been it's been a great conversation.
Likewise, dear brother. Again, we appreciate you. The sun is rising for us right now, so it's time for us to get ready to go start this day. Definitely our pleasure. Be well.
And I'm about to get ready to go ahead and go back to my monogamous relationship. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, family, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with old little bed we got, man. We gonna be all right. But yeah, I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, have a blessed evening. Love y'all and love the family, beautiful families. See y'all on the next one.
All right, on the next one.
Yep. Guys, appreciate everybody for pulling up. That was one of the best conversations I've had in a long time. Whenever y'all see me just being able to sit back and just soak up knowledge, that is an indication that I'm actually having a great time because there's not a lot of people that can come on here and be able to just control the flow of the stream like that. So I had to give Coach Nazir and his wives their flowers right now for being able to do that because, man, I'm telling you, I was like, you know what, this is my show. I got to say something. But I was actually going to just sit here and be like, you know what, I ain't saying nothing. I was zoning out, man. I was sitting here just soaking all that up, man. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to just have somebody come here and just cultivate a message and just take over like that. It's an honor being able to associate myself with somebody like this. And I appreciate everybody in the chat that held it down and was able to maintain the likes. I swear I haven't had to tell y'all to get the likes up. So I know this was a good show. Y'all ain't even got to say nothing. I know it was. Shout out to everybody that came over and chatted because I'm able to see both chats from both streams. So shout out to y'all too. And yeah, let me go and get hit down here to the wife. We'll be going live tomorrow with Dave Anderson. He's an author of The Black Agenda. So more culture, more community talk. So make sure y'all tune in at 9. I think it's 9:15 tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. And I'll see y'all on the next one.